So good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. For those who don't know, we're all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. Right now, we're joined by 4 classrooms from across North America. 2 more might be joining us soon. Give them a chance to do a bit of a shout out. We've got Miss Evans, grade 6 in Haines, Oregon. Ben, can you just picture that sort of response everywhere you go?
That's unreal.
Yes. All right, we've got classes joining us. We've got a few doing lunch, but we've got Mrs. Caracas's grade 7s in Brampton, Ontario. Hi, guys. Much lower pitched than Oregon. We've got Mr. Atkinson's grade 7s in Barrie, Ontario. They're just getting ready. And we've got 2 mystery classes, which we'll get to in a minute. So we've got April's class. We've got Christina's class. We will get to them when we get to Q&A. Of course, the reason you guys are all here is for our speaker. So we are joined by Ben Kneppers, co-founder of Borreo Inc., which is a company that works to create innovative solutions to ocean plastic pollution, part of our entire month-long series on plastic pollution in the oceans and waterways around the world. So without further ado, Ben, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. I'll go ahead with the screen share, or maybe, well, I'm on screen now, am I?
Yep, it's your face. We can see you.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. I'm actually calling from South America. I'm in Brazil right now. And I've been traveling all over South America with a really exciting project. I'm really excited to share with you guys today. I'll give you guys a brief presentation, and then we can talk more about exploring more of these ideas, you and I together, on more solutions that we can create and learn more about my experience. But really what I am about to talk about today is talking about taking fishing nets and making them into these little guys here. I don't know if you can see that. Yep. These little things called nurdles. And then making all this fun stuff I've got in front of me here. Surfboard fins, Jenga, Frisbees, and maybe the coolest of all, sunglasses. So this whole thing is all about how a group of friends, myself and my 2 other good friends, Kevin and David, came together to just take this idea we had and made it a reality. And by doing so, we took all the lessons we learned in school, in science, in mathematics, in our studies in engineering, and brought them to something that we were really passionate about, which was the ocean environment, and something that's been affecting it very, very, very much so, especially in the last 10, 20 years, is this problem of plastic pollution. We came up with this idea, and we brought it with our skill sets in these areas and our educations into something that is now a reality. And I'm here today to share that with you. So hopefully that in your own way, you can come up with your own ideas. So as I said, my friends and I, we're all from North America, from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York. We all studied, all had a very good sense of our, in your grades, studying math and science, and we went on to study engineering at universities. And with those skill sets, we got opportunities to work all around the world. I've been able to work in Europe, in Africa, in Australia, and now in South America. And along those travels, I got to meet David, that you can see here. Big, passionate surfer. He got to use his engineering degree in a very different way. He worked in finance. And Kevin, that worked also with an engineering degree in California, designing submarines. And myself, with my engineering degree, I went in a whole nother way. I went into the environment, and I studied a new field, a growing field called sustainability. And so the 3 of us, with our love for the ocean environment, thought, why not combine our skill sets to address this growing issue that we really all felt very passionate about. And this issue we're talking about is plastic pollution. So every year, 8 million tons of plastic pollution are entering the ocean. I'm sure you all see those big dump trucks, garbage trucks that are coming through your neighborhoods every day collecting the trash. This number if you can imagine, is equivalent to those dump trucks picking up all the trash in your neighborhood every day. And then at the end, every single minute, there was one lined up after another dumping that trash into the ocean. And that's the problem. That's the real problem we're facing today on a global scale. And so if we continue with this problem, we're going to have, with all the fish you can imagine swimming in the ocean, if we weighed all the fish in the year 2050, there will actually be more plastic than fish in our ocean. So you can imagine the scale that we're getting at. And so what we looked into is how big of a problem this is, but at the same time, that this is actually very solvable. I'm sure that you're aware of some of the actions, and we can discuss them later after the presentation, of some very simple things that we can do in our everyday lives that can make a very big difference. Recycling any plastic that we are using, saying no when it's a single-use plastic item like a water bottle or plastic utensils and paper and packaging. And we were finding there were many solutions out there for all these different kinds of common forms of plastic in the ocean. But one of the ones that we were really amazed by was the problem of discarded fishing nets. You can imagine every day you see plastic bags and bottles accumulating trash, but a very significant amount of this that's ending up in the ocean is actually discarded fishing nets. And this is also made, fishing nets are also made from plastic. They've said now that over 10% of this plastic pollution is made from this discarded fishing gear. But more importantly, it's been identified as the most harmful form of plastic pollution for marine mammals. As you can imagine, the purpose of a fishing net is to capture marine life, and it will continue doing so if it's being left out at sea. And so we took this as our opportunity to do something. Again, as there's solutions for the plastic water bottles and for using reusable water bottles and recycling them end of life and switching to reusable shopping bags and reusable silverware. Unfortunately, there wasn't really a solution for fishing nets. And when we dug into it, as much as it's a problem, there are solutions. And when we got to talking to the fishermen, we started to see it wasn't really just them to blame, not caring and just not caring at all and discarding these nets in the ocean. It was actually really about the fact that they didn't have many other options. So just as you can imagine, when you finish using something and you need that bin to dispose of it properly, when it came to fishing nets for fishermen, a lot of these fishermen just didn't have access to that kind of infrastructure. So with these kind of issues coming to mind, we started to come together and create this idea. What if we could focus on this very harmful form of plastic pollution, being these discarded fishing nets, and through a new innovative recycling process, we could collect back these nets, work together with the fishermen, and make these new positive products from this plastic. And then by doing so, we can generate a lot of value for this once harmful waste material. And then by doing that, we can then generate more money by selling those products and then create more support systems for these coastal communities that really needed the help. And so with that idea and support from the Chilean government, from a program called Startup Chile and many other sources, 5 years ago, we launched a program that's called Net Positiva, which is the country of Chile in South America. It's its first ever program to collect and recycle end-of-life fishing nets. The way it works is we partner directly with the fishermen, so we make a partnership with them instead of battling against them, where we can then give them all the equipment and resources, those waste bins that you have when you have your materials that you can no longer use, where now they can properly dispose of those materials, where we can then collect them back, employ local workers to manage this process, where then we can transform it into new, innovative, positive products. And by selling those products, we can generate money for local programs, all while keeping our oceans cleaner. So how does Net Positiva work? So as you can see here, just like you probably have a recycling bin, I'm sure at your school, for when you're finished drinking a water bottle or another type of material that can be recycled, at its end of life, you have these receptacles where you can discard that material, where it can be put back into a loop again and be recycled again. In our case, it's the same idea. We set up these spots around the fishing communities where we now tell the fishermen, hey, when your nets are no longer able to be used, put them in here and we can make good use of them. And that's what we've set up, is these collection points just as you see here. Then we train a whole big team of local community workers where we show them how they can correctly collect these nets, sort these nets, and clean them so that we can properly reuse them again by recycling them into new products. So we bring them all together, as you can see in this pile here. That's over 15,000 pounds of fishing nets that we're standing on there. That's been collected from all the fishermen in the participating area that could have ended up in the ocean, and now we can employ local people to manage it properly and allow us to recycle it back into new products. And so, of course, a lot of these nets, as you can imagine, being out in the sea and being used to catch fish, they can be quite dirty. So with these workers, we make sure that we wash and clean these nets so they're nice and packed so that they can be 100% plastic that we can easily recycle again. And that's the final result here from the workers. These big bales of nets that are cleaned and packed and ready to go to be recycled. And so what is actually this recycling process? So you can see here in the diagram, you've got your original fishing net that's been used out in the ocean, and then you see it's been collected back and put into, sorry, you can't see much of it here, but you can see we put it into these tight little bales. So you get all of them packed nicely together. Those nets then get sent to a special machine at a recycling company that shreds them back into this fluff that you can see here. So it's just almost like the stuff that's inside your pillow. So it's nice and fluffy and light. With that material, you feed it into the final recycling machine, which then with lots of pressure and heat, it melts that fluff down. And then just as a pasta maker pushes out that little strand of pasta, in this case, we push out and chop up these little teeny pellets, as you saw, I showed you in the beginning of our presentation. And so how then do these pellets get made into these products? Well, it's actually just like we make our waffles. I'm sure all of you there have made waffles before. And so you first start with your batter. And in our case, our batter is our recycled fishing net pellets. Of course, the batter in this case is in liquid form. So for us, we need to heat up those pellets to get into a nice liquid form. And then when it's nice and hot and melted down into this nice liquid, just like your pancake batter, we put it right into a mold, just like your waffle mold. Except in our case, instead of making a waffle out of the recycled fishing nets, we make new products, as I showed you before. So we can have a mold just like this, an iron mold, an aluminum mold that heats up that, and then it presses it into the shape of a surfboard fin or a frisbee or a Jenga game piece or even the sunglasses. And the first product we actually ever made was a skateboard. So we made a skateboard deck from 100% recycled fishing nets, got working, figured out how to use it from our engineering experience, and figured out we could find a way to make a really good quality skateboard, but not just that, lots of other things, and that's what we're working on now. So there's our mold of our skateboard. You can see here, so just like I said, the pancake batter in this case is the recycled fishing net pellets. Those get melted down into a nice liquid, just like your waffles, and then pressed into the mold of our skateboard. And there you have it. We got to launch the first ever skateboard made from recycled fishing nets. Now that these fishing nets are these great big sizes, we actually can end up getting over 30 square feet of recycled fishing net into every skateboard. But of course, skateboards aren't the only use we can have for plastic. Many other things can be made from recycled plastic. So that's then when we turn to making fishnet sunglasses. The next year, with lots of design and engineering and support from other partners, we got to make the first ever sunglasses made from 100% recycled fishing nets. And now, with more and more of these fishing nets coming in from all of these fishermen that we're working with now all across South America, we're making lots and lots more products. As you can see, we've got frisbees. I have one here sitting with me. Office chairs, all that office furniture, that all those plastic parts in it, you can imagine that's all plastic. So as long as we have this recycled plastic from the fishing nets, we can make it into these products. Other things like cell phone cases, and again, the surfboard fins, many, many applications. So we can now transform this once really harmful material, employ local workers to team up to work with the fishermen to collect it back, recycle it into this fishnet pellet, and then have all these other really positive uses for the plastic. And that's where we're at today. As we continue working on this, we're making more and more new products, and I'd love to hear your ideas and what else we could make. And through that, our goal is to provide this solution, to partner with every fisherman in need to eliminate this harmful pollution while empowering coastal communities by giving jobs. And then also when we sell the products, we can give that money back into the community to keep addressing other issues that they might be facing. And so here we are with the Dream Big Challenge. So what I'm talking about is only one type of plastic that's becoming a problem in the ocean. We've got a program that's doing our part, and we feel like we've got a good part of the solution working on, but there's so much more that the ocean needs help with. There's all these other plastics that are becoming a pollution. There's all these other ways that we can prevent it from entering the ocean in the first place. So what I'd love to discuss with you guys now is to what else can we do? What else can we do to protect our ocean? Stop the dump truck after dump truck emptying plastic pollution in our ocean every minute. These are all things that we can solve, but it takes big ideas, us dreaming big, and then bringing them to a reality by having very good educations and very good determination and working together as a team to create really positive solutions. And that can really be done. And so here I'm going to stop with my presentation. I'm happy to show you guys more of the products here. But more importantly, I'd love to open it up for questions so we can have a really, really positive discussion on what other things we can do to address this growing problem that is definitely solvable.
Cool.
So thanks, guys. And I'll open it up from there.
That was awesome. All right, let's go first to Miss Evans' class to lead us away with questions.
All right, question in the back. Talina. Really loud.
How many ideas have you went through?
How many ideas did you go through to decide on this one is what she's asking.
How many ideas for different products to make?
Yeah, why choose this? Why choose this platform?
Oh my gosh, we have gone through so many different ideas, and we still are today. The great part of plastic is that it can be used in many different ways. So we're still continuing to develop many other products with the plastic, but we started with these because it's something that we can create a lot of value for, that it's really positive and fun to use. So it connects it to a positive solution. And also it's something like a surfboard fin or sunglasses, it doesn't require a lot of plastic to produce the product, but then when we can sell it, we can have a lot of added value that's generated. So that can allow us to put a lot more funds back into our program and provide a lot more support for the communities that we're working with.
Awesome. Let's head to Brampton. If you guys have a question.
Sorry, guys, we have to go. We're off to our next class, but we really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, guys. Dream big, guys and girls.
Let's go to Mr. Atkinson's class then.
Hey, Rachel's going to come up and ask a question. So Rachel,
go right ahead, guys.
Yeah, we have.
All right.
Go to the camera.
We need a screen.
There you go. You're good.
Are we good?
Yep.
Oh.
Oh.
Now you turned it off.
Turn it off. Okay.
Good.
Oh, there's me.
There's a nice shot of you on the
There
beach.
you go.
There we go.
Go ahead.
So my question is, what is your favorite recycled product that you have made?
Oh, that's a great question. I still think it has to be our skateboards because that was the first one that we started with, and it's just such a fun, positive connection that we've been able to make. And I guess it's really what we've still been known for. We're working on making more skateboard model designs, but just the fact that it's something that you can jump on and ride around, and we made it in the shape of a fish, so it has this really positive connection. It's something that I think is still my favorite of everything we've made so far.
We, for the classes that might be joining us throughout the month for other plastic hangouts, I can guarantee you there'll be no other hangout with waffle skateboards made of plastic. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Let's go to April Pedersoni's class. So you guys aren't on my list. I don't even know where you're from, but you're welcome to ask your question.
It's the Youth Leadership and Sustainability Program based high school students at Trent University. Kate, why don't you take this up?
So if there's so much plastic waste in the ocean, why is it only fishing net?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
There's
Just
so
a little
much-
bit louder.
There's so much plastic waste. Why is it only fishing nets that you're using?
Right. So as said before, a big part of making sure that you can recycle plastic effectively is you really need a consistent source of plastic so that you can be 100% certain this plastic is in fact this material. When you're dealing with the plastic that's already out in the ocean, there's a lot of uncertainty in what kind of plastic that you're working with. So when you have a large fishing net that you come across, you can be confident that it's all one type of plastic and it's very consistent in the type of plastic it is, so you can be sure that you're going to get a very good quality recycled plastic outcome. Then by transforming that into these higher value products, we're then working on generating the funds we need to address all these other forms of plastic pollution out there. But unfortunately, a big challenge that we faced with when we tried to recycle the other kinds is it's so mixed and it's so difficult to separate each type that we've found to thus far, and again, that's why we need more great ideas, is this has been our most effective solution for recycling and making a new product.
Out of curiosity, what happens if you mix different plastics together into a product? Would it just fall apart? What would happen?
Yeah, it would. So different plastics have different melting temperatures and different mechanical properties. So if you were to mix different plastics together, let's say, for example, these sunglasses and surf fins are nylon that have a very high melting temperature. And if you were to include, let's say, PET, which is the plastic from water bottles, that has a very low melting temperature. So if you were to have that mix in, it could actually potentially catch on fire while it's being heated up because the melting temperature in nylon is so much higher. So something like that would then completely not even get you to make a solid product like this because there would be so many imperfections and deformities from the other plastic that would be melting at a different way.
Great, thank you so much. Let's go to Connecticut for Miss Krenicki's class. You have a question? Come on up.
So I actually have a couple of questions.
Go for it.
Let me have it.
Can we
Go Red Sox.
Can we buy your products on Amazon?
I think it's possible. I think just Google Borreo on Amazon, and I'm sure you can probably find something on there.
And second, are you partnering up with like Lego or like Boosted Board?
That's great. Yeah, we are partnering with lots of companies. We're not currently partnering with Lego or Boosted Boards, but we are partnering with companies like Patagonia. Futures is the surfboard fin manufacturer that we partnered with to make the surfboard fins. Costa is the brand that we partnered with to make the sunglasses. You've probably heard of them before. And Whammo is who we make the Frisbees with. So that's another partner. Jenga is another partner that we make. So Jenga makes the wood game set, and we made Jenga Ocean from the recycled. So you're exactly right. The way that we're working now is by partnering with larger companies that are already having products in the market. It enables us to provide them with our plastic and utilize a lot more material by enabling them to use it in their existing product lines.
Awesome. And by the way, you can find your products on Amazon. So I just checked just to confirm. So that's
Great.
cool. Let's go back to Miss Evans' class.
Hey, Ash, go ahead. Real loud.
How, if we don't live near the ocean, how can we help or be the cause of the pollution?
Could you hear her okay?
Yeah, that was great, and I already heard a good answer there too. To not use plastic. So a really interesting fact about the plastic that's ending up in the ocean: 80% of plastic in our ocean is coming from land-based sources. So even if you live far inland, there's rivers and streams that can eventually collect the plastic from your communities if it's being left in the natural environment and wash eventually out to an ocean. So wherever you are, it's incredibly important to be careful when using plastic and making sure that you have a really good use for it, and at its end of life, that you have a environmentally sound disposal, such as a recycling bin for that material. So echoing the advice from your classmate there, first and foremost, don't use it if you don't need to use it. There's a lot of reusable natural solutions that can be alternatives. And then if you really have to use it, take care and make sure that it's going to be recycled at its end of life.
Excellent. All right, let's go back to Mr. Atkinson's class.
Amber?
Okay. My question is, how long does it take to clean the nets and put it through the whole process?
That's a great question. So obviously, it really depends on how dirty the fishing net is. And I think that's a really big part of why we partner directly with the fishermen. So when we can partner directly with the fishermen, we can get them right when they're done using them. When they get really dirty or when they get left out somewhere and are not properly being managed. So if we can get that net right off the boat from the fishermen, then we can do a process that we can do about, one worker does about 300 kilos of fishing nets to wash, clean, and pack a day. And then the actual process to recycle it is about, we can produce 500 kilos of fishing nets, so about 1,000 pounds of recycled fishing nets per hour with the machines.
Outstanding. Okay, we'll go to Mr. Douglas's Youth Leadership and Sustainability class, who we now have identified for a second question.
Is there any precautions around shipping the pellets to make sure that they don't end up back into our environment?
Any precautions in the actual shipping? Yes. So we obviously take great care in packaging the pellets properly. We've done an entire supply chain assessment and life cycle assessment of the entire process it takes to get the nets to get to the final product. And we use, for the case of shipping the pellets, heavy duty industrial polywoven maxi sacks that are very heavy duty, but the other benefit is they're so heavy duty is they're reusable. So they're not some sack that we use once and then throw away. It's something that's very well managed. So basically the nets get to the pellets that I have here, and those get put into these heavy duty industrial sacks. Those sacks get put into shipping containers, get ocean freighted to the company, and then the company properly receives them. So the deeper connection to it is that when you connect the material to a value, people always have the interest in making sure they're going to get the highest value out of that material. So the last thing people would want to see happen is lose the material, because it's a resource, it's a value to everyone that's involved.
All right, let's head back to Mr. class. If you guys are still around, maybe, kind of. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have two questions. Can we ask them both?
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How long does it take to make a skateboard?
Yeah, so continuing on with that process, so then we have the pellets you have, and then, sorry, I'm not getting the right camera angle. With these pellets, you then have another machine that melts the pellets down to get to your waffle batter. And then in that injection molding process, you can make a skateboard every 2 minutes with this large industrial machine. So pretty quick.
Oh my god.
Right. And then the second
And then my question was, when you were surfing the wave with the trash coming over you, I just wanted to know what was your thought about that? Like, how do you feel?
Well, that very photo was not me, person, to be perfectly honest. But there has been many times I have surfed and have come in contact with plastic pollution, and it's a horrible feeling. And it's actually probably the first reason why we wanted to start this program in the first place, is because we were seeing it everywhere. My two friends that started this project and I have surfed all over the world, from Hawaii to Europe to South America to Asia and Indonesia, and we were seeing it everywhere. It's a global problem, and so with that contact, we thought, why not use our skill sets to connect with this thing we're really passionate about, and that's what we've done today. So a little trick for you guys searching for your own careers is find out not only what you're good at, but also what you really are passionate about. And when you can combine those two, it really honestly doesn't even feel like I have a job anymore. It's just what I would want to do anyway with my life. And it's very rewarding.
Awesome. We're getting that a lot from people in marine plastics, and I think we're going to get it throughout the month. That this is something that is really a passion project for everyone involved. It's something that, you know, they got driven to by experiences they had, and they've made a really fulfilling life out of it. So congratulations to you for that. Ben, do you have time for 4 more questions, one from each class?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to Miss Evans' class then.
All right, Jack.
So is there a way that we can help with this plastic problem besides just recycling all of our plastics?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where you guys are based, but there's a lot of local initiatives that are taking place. Beach cleanups and just general cleanups of the environmental area is a very tangible thing, and it can be quite rewarding. But beyond that, you guys are going to be leading in this next generation. And so if you guys start to recognize the plastic that's coming into your environment, there's a lot of things that are happening now in local government action. And don't feel too intimidated by that, because I personally know kids your age that have been the ones to lead the action that's done things like banning plastic bags and phasing out single-use plastics for their local communities, where you can get your local representatives, your local government leaders aware of what's affecting you, and you can do something about it by letting them know that this is a problem and that you want this addressed. So I would start with local cleanups and then learn more about what actions can be done with your local government, such as banning the bag, banning the straws, to make sure. And then beyond that, obviously make sure your schools are well equipped with great recycling facilities, and see that you and your peers are all taking action when it comes to recycling. And first and foremost, not even needing to rely on single-use plastic items in the first place by relying on your own reusable alternatives instead.
Cool. I was hoping we were going to get a question like that. All right, Mr. Atkinson's class.
We have 2 questions that are related. You see your system of recycling going worldwide, and are there any other locations besides Chile that have this going on?
Yes. So I do genuinely believe that a program like this can go worldwide. I don't think we're going to be the only ones. I know already that there's many other programs going on doing this, but it's a very easy solution that has such a positive outcome. So I do think that providing fishermen with this option is something that can go worldwide. We are now starting to work. I just got back from Peru last week, where Peru is 5 times the size. The fishing industry of Peru is 5 times the size of Chile, and we're just starting there. We're also starting to work in Argentina, where we just got our first supply of 60,000 pounds of fishing nets that we're now recycling. So this is a big problem. Other programs exist already around the world. We were actually inspired by a program that's been existing for over 5 years in the Philippines. We're a company named Interface Carpets, so the leading company that makes carpets for offices around the world, supported a program where they can collect back fishing nets from the Philippines and make carpets out of those recycled fishing nets. So I think this is going to be something that's going to happen more and more. And I think for you guys, there's opportunity for more and more of this stuff to come up, because people are taking notice, as I'm sure you're aware, of this problem of ocean plastic, and we're looking for more solutions. So don't be afraid to go out there and come up with your own ideas.
Awesome. Out of curiosity, just a quick follow-up question. Do you speak Spanish? Because it seems like you're working with a lot of countries that do. So
I do. Yes. I have learned Spanish in a very challenging country to learn Spanish, in the country of Chile. It's an amazing country, but they're notorious for having a good reference. I'm sure some of you taking Spanish, ¿Cómo estás? Is how are you? And in Chilean Spanish, it would be more like a ¿Cómo estás? So they cut off a lot of the words. It's a little bit more challenging, but it's let me learn a lot quicker to make it through. And it's something that you can learn along the way. And having a second language, I really, really highly recommend you guys all go after in school, because it's incredibly valuable when you start to travel the world.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Douglas's class, if you guys have another question, come on up.
How much of the plastic used in your products is the recycled fishing nets, and where do the profits go?
Great question. So really depends on the application. In the case of these sunglasses, it's 100% recycled fishing nets to make the frames. We've always seeked after getting to as high a percentage as possible. In some cases of the Jenga game set is also 100% recycled plastic. In the case of surf fins, this is a product that needs to be much stiffer. So there is a recycled glass fiber that's compounded with the nylon, which is the traditional way all surfboard fins are made. So it's the same way. And the way the cost breaks down is we pay the fishermen per kilo for the nets that they get us. Then we pay the team of local workers that we train how to correctly collect, clean, and pack those nets, as you saw in the presentation, per kilo. A very fair wage, actually almost double the minimum wage of Chile to get that work done. And then we also have to pay to transport the nets. We don't own our own recycling, so we have to pay for the shredding and recycling to get to the pellets. And then from there, the rest obviously is for us to focus in on the expansion of the program. So for every kilo we get, we reinvest money back into that community. And then the rest is really just to make sure we can have salaries so we can survive. So at the end of the day, it breaks out pretty evenly. But obviously what we're trying to make a margin for as we're selling the plastic to new companies is enough so that we can then have more money to invest in expanding to more and more communities. Because it's not just the cost of getting those nets, it's also the cost of another community that we'll need to invest in to get set up to have this solution expand more and more.
That is like the most wholesome company story I've ever heard. I love it. Well done. Let's go to Ms. Krenicki's class. You guys have a lot to live up to. Both times you've come on so far, you've had 2 questions. You have to ask 2 questions or else. Go for it.
Do you have a question? Do you save the fish that are caught in them, or do you eat them?
Well, to be honest, we don't actually come across many of the fish. By the time that we get them, again, the connection of value in the fish for the fishermen is the last thing they would want to do is leave a fish aside caught in the net. So by the time we get our hands on those fishing nets, all the fish are long gone and processed to be properly sold in the market, and where the fishermen can make their money from selling those fish. I do certainly eat plenty of fish that the fishermen do catch that kindly offer them to us. But again, by the time we get a hold of those fishing nets, we do not come across many. Never seen an animal, never seen a fish in them. And then on the other side of it, we do some of that money that we've generated for the community projects from the sale of that material. We do partner with organizations that then are the ones to be the ones going out and freeing marine animals that are trapped in those nets. So it's something that we also take great care and trying to be a part of that prevention effort as well.
Ben, this has been marvelous. Is there any last message you want to pass along to the classes or a thing you want to guide them to so they can learn more?
I just think that you guys, I can't express it enough. All of this was thanks to getting a really solid education to start. So I would just recommend do your best, absolute best in school. When you really can start to find what you're good at, then it's a chance to connect your passion with what you do. And that's really what I wish for all of you, what you seek out in your life. So make the most of the education you guys are getting now, and then go and use that to experience the world, to find your passion. And when you can connect that with those skill sets you learned in the classroom, I think that's really going to be the trick where you're going to have a really great career ahead of you all.
Awesome. Ben, at the end of every hangout, what we do is we're going to demute everyone's classes. So Miss Evans' class, Miss Cornelius' class, you guys can join me.
Yeah.
I should have put the volume down before.
Who knew? All right, thanks guys for joining us all month long. Please join us back for more Ocean Plastics Hangouts. Till then, thank you so much for being a part. And Ben, that was wonderful. Thanks so much, man.